Women in Serego, a town in the Upper East region, once known for the killing of disabled children branded as spirit children, are causing change with local pottery and sculpture.
Well, the venture is creating jobs for women and putting the town on the global map. Justice Bedu brings us a report of how the women are building a new image for the town.
This is Serego, a small village on the tip of Ghana's Upper East region. Desperately poor, it feels like a place left to its fate. Once upon a time, children born here disabled were branded as spirit children and killed. One of the reasons why such atrocities go on in places like this is because of poverty and ignorance. But it is here that a group of women with creativity are making change. Hello.
You're welcome to Swopa.
Thank you.
Most women were not doing anything. They were all back in the house. They were not doing anything. For the start she started, they didn't know that there was anything which will help them. But finally, when they got to know that there was improvement in the place, they all started coming. And now we have about 200 people, and then they can make anything that they want and then bring it, and then whatever they get, they use in paying their children's school fees.
And the results of their work speak for itself.
This is feminist power at its best, healing old wounds with such beautiful art. I'm obviously bad at doing this today, but the women here in Serego mastered this with so much flair. It takes a lot of hard work and tact. Over 200 of them work here as pot makers. It's a venture that is not only giving them a source of livelihood, but also putting this small town on the global map.
The lady is carrying a basket full of millet and then granules, and then a little bit of tobacco.
I put on fire, so it was not easy.
81-year-old Melanie Kasise began Swopa when she retired from Ghana Civil Service 20 years ago.
In our culture, women have no property of their own. They have no farm. They have nothing that they can call their own except their handmade. Serego has gained international fame because we have people coming from mention any country in the world, and they have come to visit Swopa once or another time.
Serego's story is changing, and thanks to the work of groups like Swopa, the dark days in this town would be gone forever, hopefully. For Joy News, my name is Justice Bedu, Serego.
Well, we have to go to the Ashanti region where two people have been shot at Droboso and Agogo in what appears to be reprisal attacks between nomadic herdsmen and the locals. Well, reports say angry residents from Agogo Central District shot at an unidentified man after news of the shooting of a farmer by suspected Fulani herdsmen got to them. And
yeah, we've got our colleague from Insure FM, Ohimin Teria, joining us via phone to tell us a lot more about this. Good morning to Ohimin, and Roland will speak to him.
Ohimin, what really transpired for this very incident to become the news as it is?
Thank you, Roland. Information about these reprisal attacks are very sketchy, but what I can report is that members of the police Operation Cowleg team received information calls from residents of the attack or the shooting of a 25-year-old farmer identified as Abdul Latif, whose body has been sent to the Agogo Presby Hospital for further examination. The information that the police had was that after the shooting of this young man, apparently the young man was returning from a funeral at Chichibon, and when he got to a spot close to Debidiakura is the border community between the Agogo Central District and the Asante District, the capital at Tokuto. And this young man apparently was shot by an unidentified Fulani herdsman, but he survived the attack and managed to walk to the nearby cottage where he informed residents of this particular attack on him. So residents put him on a motorbike and tried to send him to the hospital, but unfortunately he died on the way. So residents of Kisre, that's the biggest community nearby in the Abubu section of the community, heard the news, and they also armed themselves and actually went on chasing Fulani herdsmen whom they suspected might have taken part in this attack. But I was told they shot a man who is yet to be identified, but with that body, the police who were called in to rescue the situation, but unfortunately, they had already killed that man, so they sent the body to the Yase government hospital. So when I try to speak to the police officers involved, for instance, the leader of the Operation Cowley team will not deny or confirm this news, except to say that he was preparing for an operation in the night. And I also spoke to the Agogo police commander, who referred me to the regional police PRO. But the DCE for special something, for instance, he confirmed that indeed police in the area he had a call from residents that a man, the second person, was shot in his area, so he had to inform police for police to convey the body. So, Roland, that is the special nature of the attack, the reprisal attack between nomadic Fulani herdsmen and then locals of Abuku and Jobonto.
And we imagine you'll be doing a lot more follow-ups on this issue, Ohime.
Yes, Mama, because for now, we have to, for instance, if possible, speak to residents after the attack, what they make of the attack, and there are even reports that they are living in fear following the attack, knowing very well that maybe there could be more or possible reprisal attack. But let me also say that I have been monitoring the situation on the ground. Members of the Operation Cowley team, for instance, last night embarked on a special team to ensure that they extend their surveillance and their operations beyond even the areas that they have been covering over the period. So indeed, yes, I'll be following up on this issue.
All right. For now, we'll leave it here. We thank you so much. That's our colleague within Shira FM in Kumasi, Ohime Terrier. There will be more on this particular issue in our subsequent bulletins right here on Joy News.
Now let's turn our attention to the subject of the economy, and also banking, because the governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Henry Kofi Wampa, has indicated that selling assets of DKM Finance might not even be enough to pay off depositors.
The governor disclosed this when he appeared before Parliament to answer questions from members of a development at the microfinance company. There have been calls that frozen assets of the microfinance company be liquidated to pay the depositors' funds. But answering questions from Parliament, the governor says it might be difficult to do this. Meanwhile, Member of Parliament for Nkranza North, Major Retired Derek Odro, says Parliament is not satisfied with the response of the governor.
The governor of Bank of Ghana came to Parliament today. As I speak, he came there. We just closed from Parliament at exactly 8 o'clock in this night. And he wanted to extricate himself from the blame, even though the President had already made a ruling and had already directed that the money should be paid. So at the end of the day, we said we were not satisfied with the answers given, and therefore we were going to call him back to come and implement the President's directives that the money should come back to those people who invested their money into those companies And therefore, the business committee, the speaker directed that the business committee should schedule the Bank of Ghana, the governor of Bank of Ghana, to appear again somewhere next week, so that he will come, and then we find the roadmap, how we're going to pay the money, and not what happened, who did what, and that kind of thing. That one we've passed through passed that stage completely, and therefore all that we are looking up to is the way we are going to pay.
And we have to look at this before we go on to the next. So a truck conveying gas, and that is liquefied petroleum gas, this morning caught fire on the road, and so far has been put out. It caused heavy vehicular traffic on the highway, and pictures and more details will be given soon. That very highway we're talking about is the N1 highway.
Well, it's not easy for a woman living in rural Ghana to make a living out of farming.
And this, however, Memunatu John Azubila has braved the odds to become the breadwinner of her family, and currently sponsoring the university education of her son. Joint News Mahmoud Mohammed Nuruddin visited Memunatu in Diga near Boko and speaks to her on how she has managed to successfully negotiate cultural beliefs and gender stereotyping to become a very successful farmer.
According to the Food and Agricultural Organization, women make up on average 43% of the agricultural labor force in developing countries.
Nothing takes the place of farming. I have been able to take care of my 3 children up to the university level. I also have cattle under the care of nomadic herdsmen. During the raining season, I employed not less than 20 people to support me.
Memunatu John Azubila is just one of those inspiring women in Ghana. A role model to many farmers, Memuna has risen from scratch to becoming the municipal best farmer in 2015. Ironically, women in rural communities are generally limited to house chores, but the 47-year-old is bucking the trend.
Women were considered as only housekeepers, but for me, the farming business is profitable. It helps in all aspects, including the payment of my children's school fees.
Memunatu wants to make a difference in her home.
Now that women are venturing into farming, we won't sit back and look on while our husbands struggle to feed the children.
I'm satisfied, very, very satisfied. Yes, my satisfaction is that she has been struggling with the farms, and I allow her, you know, I'm a polygamist, and at times we don't allow our women to farm their own things, but I'm seeing that she's doing her best. So I've given her enough to start do it into a larger quantity, so that it will help me. And the way I'm saying I'm satisfied is that she has been taking care of the children. When I was working, I couldn't cater all the needs of the children. So due to her farming activities, she helps me. So I'm very, very satisfied.
From vegetables to animal production, Memuna has a hand in it. And although she does small-scale farming, it is reaping her big rewards.
I do vegetable, including onions and pepper. I also farm maize, rice, local poultry, and animal farming.
My mom took care of us because my father is having about 4 wives. So, and my mom line we are about 5. After the 5, I'm the 3rd born. 2 of them has finished the university. I'm the 3rd one. I'm also in the university. My younger brother, the one before me, in the training college, then the last one is in the secondary school. So my mom, she has been trying all the best to get all that she can to help us go to the education. So as of now, she had a lot of things to point at, especially in the family venture where we went to
Now let's bring this to you again. We're getting some information that the truck conveying liquefied petroleum gas has this morning caught fire at the Wija Junction on the Malam Kaswa Road. Fortunately, it has been put out. It caused heavy vehicular traffic on the highway. Pictures and more details will be given soon. Now let's go to Nkranza. And the long-standing conflict between nomadic Fulani herdsmen and indigents has in recent weeks focused mainly on Agogo in the Ashanti region, where some lives have since been lost and property also destroyed.
Joy News investigations have, however, revealed extensive destruction to farmlands in the Afram Plains area in the eastern region. Is also a matter which has come up for discussion. Kwetenate, who's been to the area, says though the headsmen admit guilt, they say they have been unfairly vilified and that they are not as terrible as they have been characterized.
70-year-old Bapere Derry Matthew is thinking deeply about what to live on tomorrow. There are many mouths to feed, but little food available for the family. Providing 3 square meals for 20 children and 3 wives has been the cause of Bapere's sleepless nights.
After we come, just a near money in by banchinin in near to corning in
we would die of hunger this year. Everything has been destroyed by the herds of cattle belonging to the nomadic herdsmen.
Now we who now are not here. Oh, Busano was in India, Bayerno, Nina, or to go no, what would to go no, at the corner joke of winning in a Toronto. Indeed, Sansa de a higher papa.
That's the only burden on the head of the 70-year-old farmer. He's contemplating making his 6 children drop out of school. This is because he does not know where he might find money for their educational needs. I am helpless and in dilemma. I don't know how to feed my family. There is a reason behind his woes. His 5-acre cassava farm has been destroyed by cattle reared by the nomadic herdsmen. This is not the first time Bapere has suffered such destruction. He was lucky to have identified the herdsmen responsible for the earlier damage, and they paid the cost. It's not so this time around, and like many other farmers, they have several tracts of their land destroyed. Ejayao is one of such farmers, and he shares his plight.
Banki Bayre fan Mayanmo. Katia de 200 no mobana. Nyakani de banki ni Bayran do ma uni na nyama to go ma uni na kan ye wokufi ni munkwani ni wo. Ande o man tumi
My farm produce have been destroyed by the cattle. I was able to identify those responsible for the destruction, but they fled after I drew their attention to the damage.
Na wakwa na babi amede be kwa tuntu na na kwa kanu misi yu ya wada wamba fia da wamba ndame me da su besisi ri wamba ntiti titi mi kwa me fata hunu mi hunu kwa me fata hunu babi amekwa na omote na me di na twina chiko no mekwa na omuni ho omasha mu no manyina asore ho.
I set off in search of the nomadic herdsmen here at Papaso to seek some reactions to the issues raised. Alhaji Amadu, a spokesperson for the herdsmen, he concedes that the cattle are responsible for the destruction of a number of farmlands in the community, but refute claims they don't pay for cost of damage.
Umubana pena umusi yanko kunanjwe ana misi o nanjwe de munko nanjwe kunanjwe bia nanjwe nyina ya media se bone bi no mu ye firi bebia mu de mu nchirami na anempa me di bone ma no se wo hadia na ma afira no na me nenu yenko sia se me di nika na ma to nika me di nika susu a se o mo pese me ntina hadia na me pam me mboa no na ntiri ha.
The Joint Military and Police Task Force brutalized me when they came here. I asked if my animals had destroyed any farmland, so I pay for the destruction. They did not take my plea and beat me up.
Report for far trouble by any omugalo. Any sikai, omudi juana ishimi. Yakotu omana joana, omuhuni yatorisi ba ana omajani, na mafabu bano ini ayini. Nti mi fa ba na media to baby na mo ba na mo hunu set buba no ana mo si added to no hin no si me de mi de to bia buba no se mo dia chinja mbeti ma fa mo akọ baby a mo akọ kuna nhwe na mo kasan ma akọ hunu se yampa enu kwa na mo kusu buru mi kwa.
He says they've become victims of undue stereotype, and this has led to the killing of several of their animals by the community folk. It's now a tale of fear between the locals here at Afram Plains and the Fulani herdsmen, as neither side knows what they could lose the next day. Reporting for Joy News, Kwetenate, Afram Plains.
And that'll be it for the news, and we'll bring you a lot more updates on this very subject of the Fulanese and their inroads in many of those communities as being reported around.
All right, when we come back, we've got the newspapers, and then we'll do a trip around some of the news portals. You're watching the AM show. Do stay with us.
We'll be right back.